want to welcome everybody to the Black Family Talk. My name is Hamid.
And I'm Brother Eugene.
So tonight, family, we have a really special show. Usually we don't meet on Friday nights, but we had a show that was so special it warranted us coming on Friday nights. We have with us a very special guest that I know that we have all heard of and we've seen his work. And so I don't want to even talk too much tonight. You know, sometimes we in the room with people, you don't want to talk too much. I want to introduce my brother, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Peace and love, family. Glad to be in Nashville. Thanks for having me here at WVOL 1470 AM, all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Only my second visit to Nashville. Glad to be back. Black Tennessee, I am here.
And we glad to have you here. So, for the people who don't know why you're here, give them a little bit about what's the event coming on for you tomorrow.
Absolutely. 4th annual Soul Day.
Yes,
Tomorrow, you understand, celebrating our entrepreneurs, everybody, educators, the youth, the family, the community. It's been 400 years. 400 years. And this is my first outdoor festival that I have attended or will be attending in the new 5th century of Black America. So it's very significant for me. But everybody needs to come out. Everybody needs to come out, show love. We as Black folks have to learn how to get along with each other and have fun with each other, enjoy each other, and explore each other. And so Brother DeMario and his organization invited me down. Thanks to them, because it's been a long time coming. So we're going to be out at East Park all day tomorrow. Come on out, East Park, bring the children, bring the elders, bring family, bring friends. We're going to be out there from 12 until 5. Dr. Umar Johnson will be speaking around 2 o'clock, and I'm going to deal with a lot of topics. I'm going to deal with education. I'm going to deal with mass incarceration. I'm going to deal with psychological self-hatred, but of course I have to deal with the psychoacademic holocaust, i.e. the school-to-prison pipeline, also known as the ADHD hustle, and the special education conspiracy.
You call it the ADHD hustle.
It is a hustle. It is a $30 billion hustle. That's how much money they make in drugging Black boys with disorders that don't even exist in the name of Adderall, Concerta, Ritalin, Metadate, and Cycler. If you wouldn't give your child crack, why would you give them Concerta?
Then that's a good question. Because, I mean, aren't they both in the same class?
Yes, they are. The Drug Enforcement Agency of America classifies Ritalin as a Schedule B drug, so it's in the same category as heroin and opium, I believe it is.
Wow. Well, you know, some our people just like to follow what they're used to.
Yes.
So, you know, sometimes they really don't think about cause and effect.
Very true.
So, you know,
Very true.
that's really one of the main things I think that we need to really find out how we can get the understanding of cause and effect to our people. Because, like you said, the self-hatred is the cause of the effect that we deal with.
It is.
You know, so what is your take on, because everybody got their own storyline where self-hatred comes from or stems from. What do you believe part of it originated?
Interesting question. And it relates to this whole ADHD conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder epidemic. And the way it relates is by way of a federal research program known as the Federal Anti-Violence Initiative, FAVI. If you can remember back in 1980, 1990, there was a real big conversation that was basically carried on through the front pages of most of America's Black and white newspapers and magazines. And that conversation evolved around the issue as to whether or not Black males were born with a gene that predisposed us to be violent. You remember that?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
Black men born violent?
Right.
Okay, so the research has shown that when you study groups of Black men in native Africa, there's almost no intra-communal violence unless it became necessary, such as war. So they said if Black men are predisposed genetically to be violent, then we should see evidence that African men are predisposed genetically to be violent. They saw no such thing. But the Federal Anti-Violence Initiative, in my opinion, was a clever attempt to excuse the United States government for economic castration, miseducation, and the deliberate introduction of self-hatred to displaced Africans, because those are the 3 ingredients of black on black fratricide. You miseducate them, so they're not able to participate fully in the American social order. then you economically castrate them. You make them economically irrelevant to black women. And then on top of that, you add the fact that for 4 centuries, we've been taught to hate ourselves and see ourselves as less than. So any program or solution that's going to address black on black male homicide, fratricide, genocide has to deal with miseducation, economic castration, and self-hatred. Now, the white man can't do anything about self-hate, even though he caused it. We have to solve that ourselves. But he can do a lot about miseducation because most of the education of black children is being carried out by white females. The white woman is the catalyst for the low academic achievement of black males. And when we look at economic castration, which is something that is always left out of the conversation when we deal with black male dysfunctionality, they never connect economics to violence. Whenever they have a conversation about violence, it's all about we need more jails. We need more role models. We need fathers to be in the lives of their sons. But what about the fact that most of the violence is a direct outgrowth of pain, anger, disappointment that grows from not being able to provide for your family? Same thing we saw 75 years ago in America with Jews, Irish, and Italian. They were drunk, they were gang banging, they were running numbers, they were running guns, they was killing each other in the streets. And the United States government upgraded them to white status in 1940 because before 1940s, Jews, Irish, and Italians were not white. And when they upgraded them, that meant they had to give them an economic stimulus package. And that economic stimulus package came to the Italians by way of America's inner city police department. It came to the Irish by way of America's inner city police departments. It came to the Italians by way of America's inner city fire departments. And it came to the European Jews by way of America's inner city civil service jobs. They helped them in their violence by giving them an economic stimulus package. Where is ours?
So we've been hearing a lot about reparations. Where do you stand on reparations as far as the country giving reparations? Where do you stand on that?
I support reparations. We are entitled to it. We will get it. But I do take issue with the fact that we have a lot of not well thought out hashtag grassroots reparations movements that I think can actually hurt what we're trying to do with the reparations crusade because they're pushing doctrines and ideologies that don't have anything to do with reparations that I think can be harmful in the long term. With that being said, there's 5 things we need to consider when we deal with reparations. 5 concerns I have. Concern number 1, there can be no reparations unless there is restoration. And what I mean by that is America has to give back to Africans all of the land that was stolen from us from 1865 to 1965. Tens of thousands of acres were robbed gunpoint from black folk. They would show up and tell us to get gone. So it's interesting when you look at all this gentrification taking place across the country, white folks moving us out of our neighborhood. Well, how much of that land we being moved off is actually ours? So it needs to be research done to show how much black land was stolen, who was it stolen from, and it needs to be restored. So there can't be no reparations without restoration because the basis of all nation is land and we need our land back. And I don't hear anybody talking about the restoration of black lands that was stolen for 100 years at the end of slavery. Number 2, I don't hear enough conversation around the mental costs of the Ma'afa. We understand that they owe us for 243 years of forced labor. But I would argue, psychologically speaking, that the greatest debt of the Ma'afa is not the unpaid plantation labor. The greatest debt from the Ma'afa is the damage it did spiritually and psychologically to African people. Why are black women in love with blonde hair? Why are black men in love with white girls? Why do black people still worship a European deity? All of that are the psychological residuals of slavery. And I believe that the European owes us more for the psychological damage than he could ever owe us for 243 years of cotton picking. On top of that, I don't see enough attention being paid to the Arab involvement in the slave trade. The Arabs were trading Africans before the white man even came around, and the Arab is still trading Africans today. So why are they not being included in this conversation? My next point is I take issue that there's so many different reparations movements. The Caribbean has one. England has one. Africa has one. The United States has one. Last time I checked, there was one slave trade. Last time I checked, we all came from the same place. And last time I checked, the white man is a master of using us against ourselves. And if we do not organize the reparations movement globally behind a united front, he will play each reparations argument against one another, and we will end up with nothing. Last point. We are a $2 trillion people. We are the richest group of Africans in the world. We are the 10th richest nation on the globe. We don't trap any of that money in the community as is. If you got reparations today, the Chinese would be richer tomorrow. If you got reparations today, the Arabs will be richer tomorrow. So before we are looking for a payout, we need to build some infrastructure within the community, political and economic, to trap that reparations money within the community. Because the black dollar rotates once, if it rotates at all, before it leaves. So if we all got a paycheck today, whites, Arab, Asians, and Latinos will be richer tomorrow. I just think we needed to be more visionary with this reparations conversation. We're entitled to it. We should fight for it. We should get it. But we also need to be very careful about how we get it and what we do with it when we get it. So for example, I'm not a big proponent of cash reparations. The reason I'm not a big proponent of cash reparations is because the American dollar isn't backed by any sort of material value. It's not on the gold standard. It's not on the silver standard. It's not even on the damn monopoly standard. So getting the white man's dollars as restitution for your enslavement, to me, is a loss. It is not a victory. So for those who are pushing the reparations movement, I would like to see a reparations demand list, which includes largely things outside of cash. In other words, give me control of certain lands, certain resources, certain waterways, exempt my descendants from taxes, guarantee them all free college, give us control over certain industries. But if all they're going to write us as a check, that's a defeat. That's not a victory. We cannot fall for the dollar hustle. The white man can print all the money in the world, and he can give black people $1 trillion, and then through inflation, he'll take all the $1 trillion back with all his hikes and costs. So that's not going to be a victory. I want resources. I don't want cash.
Yeah, because reparation, what is it? Means to restore.
To restore.
So money is not going to fix
Money
us.
is not going to fix us.
Because we got a lot of rich fools
But
already.
the question is, the reparations organizations, and I don't know, we have to check. I have tremendous respect for the main one, which is in COBRA, National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. Just had their conference in June in Detroit. But we need to ask them, the people who you have thinking this reparations argument up, are these attorneys exclusively? Or are we tapping into all of the deep intellectual wisdom we have in the black community? Or are we relying on a few talented 10th bourgeoisie, white, European, college-educated Negroes to fight this struggle? Because if I see a reparations list that ain't got nothing but a dollar amount, no matter how great, we're going to lose. It needs to be resources on there, opportunities on there, not cash. Because the only thing you do with money is give it away. We need things that we can hold on to.
Absolutely agree with that 100%. So when it comes to that, it comes to a changing of the mind.
Changing of the mind. Which means before you can have external reparations, you got to have an internal reparations. And when I bring this up, a lot of brothers and sisters get upset. There he go again with his psychological talk. But it is true. Until you take the self-hate out of the African, no money will benefit you. Because right now, the number one motivation for an African is to imitate the European and live next door to the European. So any money you give us will not be used to heal. It will be used to cause further hurt. The average black person wants to imitate and mock and ape the life of a white man. So if you give them money, all they're going to do is become a better imitator of a white man. So instead of the Hyundai, it will be a Mercedes. Do you see that? So all they're going to do is buy more expensive white trinkets as opposed to using that money to invest in ourselves. In other words, the worst thing you can do is give a Negropean reparations, because a Negropean will give those reparations right back to the European.
So let me ask you, because but you know, I know you come from a psychology background, and we're sitting there talking about not money. We have to fix the psychological aspect of things. My question is, how do we get our brothers and sisters on the couch? And when I say the couch, it's the proverbial couch, because a lot of times, you know, we watch television, we hear, you know, listen to music, and everything is kind of bringing us through this loop. How do we get our brothers and sisters on the couch to at least begin to help to fix the mindset?
Rule number one, everybody's not going along for the revolutionary picnic. We need to be clear about that. I would argue at least 60% of African Americans today are totally useless and worthless to the liberation struggle. They might be lawyers, they might be doctors, they might be business owners, but when it comes to liberating black people as a priority, they're useless. They have the values of the white man, the psyche of the white man, the interests of the white man. So, with that being said, we have to pick and choose. We got to go fishing. Jesus used to say, well, you got to go out there fishing, right? For believers. Well, we got to go out there fishing for Africans who care enough about the people to do something for them. Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of the Negro, said it best. The college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race because the education he gets educates him away from his people, not towards his people. So one of the hardest lessons I had to learn was everybody not coming for the struggle. I'm a psychologist, right? When we go to therapy, you know what we're taught? So when you sit down, first session, you have to make an assessment on this person's readiness and willingness to change. Some people, they're ready to change. A lot of people ain't never going to change. Some people on the fence, you can convince them to change. That's the same thing we got to do with our people. We got three groups: those who ready to change, those who thinking about it, and those who would never change. They will slit your throat before they get away from the European. We got to pick and choose which ones we want to waste our time with, because trying to save psychologically damaged Africans can be a very dangerous thing. Can be a very dangerous thing because they see you as the enemy.
Right.
You see, so we got to pick and choose who's going, and I really only think about 30, 40 to 50% of us are even worth saving. Frederick Douglass, my ancestor, said what? It is better to raise strong children than to repair broken men. And he wasn't a psychologist, but he knew that. Carter G. Woodson said what? If you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his thinking. Okay? And if you control his thinking, you don't even have to tell him to go to the back door. He will go on his own. And when he gets to the back, if there is no door, he won't make one and walk out of it. I'm not trying to save every Negro in America.
It's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
Everybody didn't make it on Noah's Ark.
I'm focusing on the babies. That's why we purchased those 2 schools in Wilmington, Delaware, February the 7th of this year. Frederick Douglass building, Marcus Garvey building, and God willing, we're going to raise this $1 million so that we can restore that campus. We have 4 buildings in total, 2 schools. We were blessed enough to purchase with the monies raised from the people. And it is my hope that we raise $1 million between now and next summer, because I want to open up the school on Nat Turner Day, August the 21st, the date of the Nat Turner Revolution, 2020. 100-year celebration of the red, black, and green flag. That's when I want to start school.
You know, just sitting here thinking about what you're saying, because you said a lot, but especially when it comes to schools, I know you had to deal with our people who say, well, what is he doing with the money? Or what is, you know, and they question even before you had the opportunity to do something. How do you deal with that? And actually, I have a question that said, what's one of the biggest challenges you face from the community you serve, and how are you able to move forward while experiencing that challenge?
Well, here's the thing. Most African people love and support Dr. Umar and my work. The detractors are such a small number. They appear to look larger than what they are because they're so aggressive and consistent in their detractions. So, for example, I can think of 2 Negroes right now on YouTube. They make a video about me every day. First of all, what black man is sitting around making a video about another black man every day and won't even show their face? So you making a video about me every day and you won't even show your face. You see? So again, they so consistent because it's only a few of them. They got to be consistent. Because if they stop, won't nobody pay them no attention. Most of our people love us. If they didn't, we wouldn't have raised the $750,000 that we raised to buy those 2 schools. So you got to take the good with the bad. With the love, there's going to be a little bit of hate. But I'm not worried about the haters because they're mentally ill. And once the school is up and running, they're going to be crawling back apologizing. And I'll be letting them into it.
You say August?
Once the victory comes, everybody gets on the bandwagon.
That's right.
When I bought the schools, it was a big shift then. Everybody said, shoot, he almost there. I better get on this other side. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it, Doc. I was caught up. I drunk the Kool-Aid. Well, it's going to be some more Kool-Aid to drink when that school opens.
So when it comes to education, I mean, for me, I have an issue with the European curriculum for us.
Yes.
Is there, I mean, what can be done for those who haven't or will not have an opportunity to get the actual, what is the word? It's not the curriculum, but if it was a curriculum for us, by us. Can we really, I mean, because like you said, only a few gonna be able to get it. So how do we get the real understanding about us to us and our people?
Well,
Because
number one,
theirs ain't gonna do it for us.
now theirs ain't going to do it. First of all, let's go back. Why did they desegregate the schools in the first place? 1954, May 17th.
That's my birthday.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You born on the anniversary of the school desegregation Supreme
Ain't
Court
that
decision.
something?
They didn't desegregate the school so black kids could sit next to white kids. Because sitting next to white kids don't make you smarter. You know why they really desegregated the schools? Because black people in those underfunded, dilapidated one-room schoolhouses in the ghetto were turning out better educated students than the white folks was turning out in the rich upper-class private schools. See, let us be clear now. We invented the gas mask before we could sit next to white kids.
Right.
We invented the stoplight before we could sit next to white kids. We invented the refrigerated truck before we could sit next to white kids. The golf tee before we could sit next to white kids. We invented the machine to tie the sole of a shoe to the top of a shoe before we could sit next to white kids. Most of America's most significant inventions came out of the minds of black children who had never sat next to white kids. The reason they wanted to desegregate was to control the quality of the education because America considered the intellectual brilliance of the black child to be a national security issue. So they integrated the schools to dumb you down. And that's why 20 years after school desegregation, they popped up with the learning disability, special education.
Ain't that the National Security Memorandum 46, I think it is, where they don't want black Americans and black
To deal with
Africans,
Africans, yeah.
to come
Yeah,
together.
absolutely. Which basically tells you what? The only threat that the white man is concerned about is revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. He ain't worrying about this, he ain't worrying about that, he's worrying about Pan-Africanism. Anytime you hear a national security issue being the unification, political and economic, operationally, between Africans in America and Africans in Africa, that's Pan-Africanism. That's what Garveyism is. That's the only thing the white man is concerned about. No other threat. No religion, no other organization, none of that. Garveyism is his only concern.
And that's true. And because, I mean, like I said, it's part of their national security.
Absolutely.
So,
Because the European is a natural vampire. He's a political bloodsucker. Europe cannot exist without Africa. As such, Europe has a vested interest in always keeping Africa underdeveloped and backwards. And to the extent that the black man and woman of America go home and liberate our mother country will be the extent to which the European must give up his control of the resources under Africa's ground. See, I don't know why God made the world this way, but God made the world in such a way that in order for the European to stand, that Africa must lay down. In order for the European to stand, the African must lay down. I don't know why God put the white man in an ice box called Europe and didn't give him enough resources so he can leave us the hell alone. But that's exactly what the Lord has done. So we are engaged in a spiritual battle to take back the original holy land of African people. That holy land ain't Mecca, it ain't Jerusalem, it's Africa. That's our holy land because there's no land holier than the land in which you was born in. And that's no pun to religion. I have no issue with either religion because Malcolm X was a Muslim, Garvey was a Christian. It's what you do with the religion that matters most. And speaking of religion, if you're going to organize black folks, you got to do something with the black church because the black church has been the most parasitic organization in our community since the assassination of Dr. King.
well,
It takes in too much money and does too little for the people who they take it from.
And if you notice, that's most black people's go-to. If they want to know something, they don't go to learn anything else outside of the church. After school is over, if they don't decide to go to college, anything else that comes to them in a learning setting, the only place is the church.
Which is understandable from a traditional perspective where the black church was everything for us. Remember, the black church is where you got your job. The black church is where you went to get security from the KKK. The black church was your life insurance. The black church was your first schools. The black church was the abolitionist movement. Frederick Douglass was even a preacher for a period of time, you see.
Right.
So I understand why the black church was the one-stop shop once upon a time, but it can no longer be that because the black church has reinvented itself in the post-Dr. King era, and it has went from agitation to accommodation. But the church ain't alone. Most black organizations have went from agitation, fighting racism, to building a relationship with racism. You see, not just the church, most of your black Greek fraternities and sororities have went from agitation to accommodation. Okay, the NAACP has went from agitation to accommodation. Urban League has went from agitation to accommodation. Even the Congressional Black Caucus has went from agitation to accommodation. We don't want to fight racism. We want to build a relationship with it. Since when have you seen anybody change anything building a relationship with their enemy? I don't want no relationship with racism. I want to destroy racism.
A lot of times what I see is the fact that we are starting to take money from,
Yes.
because it's the money thing.
Yes.
A lot of people don't want to lose their,
Yes.
I was talking to one guy, he was saying that they get X amount of dollars, some churches get X amount of dollars just to open up.
Yeah.
Even from a...
Faith-based initiative.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's called, faith-based.
FBI.
That's it. So, a lot of people
Pastor
don't...
is the new snitch.
And that right there, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah.
Whoever, see, the black church claims it's not political. But whenever you run for political office, what's the first place you go to get your endorsements? The black church. Because they got the people in them. Ain't no politics without the black church, you see. So what we have to do is we ain't got to kill Christianity. This is not a conversation on killing Christianity. This is a conversation on killing the hustler who is cloaked and disguising himself as a true missionary of the faith. That's what this problem is all about. You see, because the black church will love to talk about the Chinese is robbing us blind, and the Arabs is robbing us blind, and the Anglo-Saxons is robbing us blind, but you robbing us more than them. You know why? Because when I go to the Arab gas station, I do get some gas even though he overcharged me. And I go to the Chinese store, I do get some stale food even though he overcharged me. But when I go to the church, I don't get anything for the money I give you. You making money off a book you didn't write, selling a product that don't even exist.
Right. Y'all, you're listening to, we have to put it out, you're listening to Dr. Umar Johnson. He's in the building tonight.
Tennessee, I am here. I want to see everybody tomorrow. 4th annual Nashville Soul Day, East Park, 12 to 5. Come on out there. I got a message for y'all. And I want every black parent in the building because we're going to talk about how you Negro mothers and fathers keep on giving permission for my little brothers and sisters to be evaluated for learning disabilities. Hear me well, Tennessee. Black children don't have learning problems. They have lazy problems. There is no learning disability. There's a lazy disability. And it starts with your lazy behind mom and dad.
All right, so you heard it there. We want to go ahead and put the number out. Call us, because if you have any questions for Dr. Umar, I'm sure he'd love to hear it and maybe answer those questions. So give us a call at 615-227-1470, or you can call us at 615-737-9865, and he's looking forward to your call.
So now I got a question that that's been on my mind, because if you notice how we just stated that we invented so much stuff when it comes to us, but all inventions that we create, or great people we produce, we send them to them
to be exploited financially.
And they even go and check and separate and make sure that
And exploit.
whatever
From the hot comb to hip hop and everything in between. Whatever black folks make, we give it to white folks to get paid off. Soul food, jazz music, you name it. We do not believe in ownership. And one of the reasons we don't believe in ownership, well, obviously coming from a legacy of slavery, you couldn't own anything, not even yourself, right? But another reason why we have trouble with ownership is because religiously we've been taught that seeking power and financial control and political leverage are evil things. You don't do that. Just stay faithful and pray to God. And you see, so everybody else around us is searching for economic power and political power. When the Chinese come to America, they don't come to America to participate in no American dream. They come to build a Chinese economic empire. The Arabs are here to build an empire. The Anglo-Saxon is here to build an empire. Black people are the only group in America who don't have an empire mindset. Everyone is here to build for self. Nobody practices integration except the American Negro.
I think we have a caller on
Yes, sir.
the line. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing? Black Advancement Community Outreach Group. First and foremost, I want to thank the Family Talk for having Dr. Umar up there. It's been a National Soul Day for bringing him in. I just kind of wanted to kind of chime in a little bit of what he was saying about not getting money for reparations. I want to know his concept of how we can push education into our neighborhoods. One thing that I noticed being in Nashville and working with a lot of different groups, the education portion of it is not pushed. It's not pushed as much. And I one time had a concept of getting all of the black organizations together to create some form of a standard. And that standardized concept is all learn the same education, all learn the same financial literacy, all come to the same economic understanding. So that if we do go and protest a gas station that has treated us wrong in our black neighborhoods, instead of directing them to the next foreign-owned gas station down the street, we'll have another place for them to go. Or if we shut down that gas station that has been treating us wrong, we have another group of investors who are black with the black agenda that can come in and buy it. So my question to you is it possible for black subgroups to get together and create a standard, a curriculum of a sort that we can all follow and be on the same page? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's something that we can achieve as a people?
The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, greatest black organizer in modern history, greatest black leader of the 20th century, said, if African people could get to know ourselves today, we could be a free people tomorrow. But he also said, if the black men and women are not careful, they will drink in all the poison of Western civilization and die from the effects of it. Can we do it? Of course we can. But guess what? You can open up a black-owned hospital in Nashville. You can have a black-owned school in Nashville. You can have a black-owned bank in Nashville. You can have a black-owned supermarket in Nashville, the 4 essential institutions of any self-sustaining community. But if black people have not been taught to value black institutions, they'll be closed down overnight. I have seen black businesses fail because black people would still rather buy from the white man than the black man. So at the end of the day, you have to do what? Reconstruct the African psyche. You have to turn the Negro back into an African. See, slavery, okay, took an African and turned him into a Negro. But we never been turned back into Africans. We just became African Americans, which is a higher order Negro. You see, so we have to liberate the psyche in order for us to behave the way we should. Have you noticed we're the only people who don't naturally do what's best for them? We're the only people in the country who don't naturally do what's best for them because we have been socialized, not only through slavery, but through public education. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think 154 years of public education has done more damage to the African child than 243 years of enslavement of our parents. I'm going to say it again. 153 years of free public school has damaged the mind of the African child more than the previous 243 years of enslavement of our ancestors. And do you know what the difference is? They enslaved adults, but they miseducate children. When you miseducate a child, you miseducating the whole generation because that child going to teach their child the same miseducation that they was taught. What's the most important job of a school? The most important job of a school is not to teach. Teaching is not the main job of an educational institution. The main job of an educational institution is to socialize. You know what that means? To make sure you and I can work together in the best interest of the people. To make sure all three of us can work together in the best interest of the people. Have you noticed that when we come from college, we normally can't work with other black folks? Because we've been socialized to work for white folks' interests, not black people's interests. Right. That's why you must educate black children together. We can't keep sending our kids to white women to be properly educated because all she's going to do is break the backbone spiritually of the black male child and make the black girl think that the best thing she can be is a white woman. It is absolutely amazing that black people, after 400 years, are still comfortable sending black kids to white folks and white-run schools to get an education. And then when your child becomes a coon, you spend the rest of their life trying to turn the coon back into an African, but you're the one that gave your baby to white folks for 18 years.
Hey.
White people ain't got no business teaching black folks.
And I agree with you 100% because my son just got into middle school. Mm-hmm. And I sent him to the one he was zoned to. And the first homework he came home with was about slavery. Mm-hmm. So I took him out of there and went to another school. Get there, the same thing. So, opposed to me telling my people, hey, we need to educate our own, have our own, I decided to send my child to a black school. A private school where I pay for him to go.
Yes,
I'd rather invest in his future than allow him to go through this for free, and then I have to wipe all this out,
You can't.
and it's already embedded.
Yeah, you can't take it out. Anything put in the mind of a child will stay. You can't take it
Absolutely.
out.
So I mean, we have to really get to the point to where we trust in our own people enough to allow that. I mean, when I say something about a black curriculum, I was in a setting one time and I said, if there's a black school with a black curriculum for black people, would you send your child there? Only one person raised their hand out the whole group.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me because I was
Because
like,
we love white folks. Black people are absolutely in love with white folks. And they don't want to admit they love white folks. That's why black women love their blonde hair. That's why black men love their white girls. That's why we all love white Jesus. We are in love with white folks. How do you go to war with the people that's at war with you while you're in love with them? How do you go to war with the people that's at war with you while you're in love with them? And you know what makes it even worse? Let's look at our spending habits. We spend $2 billion a year on Air Jordans, $1 billion a year on McDonald's, black women $20 billion a year on weave and perm, black men $3 billion on Timberland boots, $7 billion on liquor and alcohol. We buy twice the amount of Mercedes Benzes as white folks, but we only have a third of their wealth. Why black folks buying more Mercedes than white folk and you ain't even got half their money? Because Negroes are motivated by my Philadelphia brother Will Smith said what? Black people spend too much money they don't have, buying things they don't even need to impress people they don't even like.
yep.
We are broke because we're trying to outdo each other. There was nothing wrong with that Nissan I had. But guess what? Because you came home with a Hummer, I'm going to go into debt with a Mercedes just to outdo you. Because a Negro is most definitely motivated to outdo other Negroes. He didn't even think about white folks.
And I always ask, when that comes up when we in competition, I always ask, so where's the trophy? Where's the prize that you get for competing with me?
The white man's validation.
And you never get that.
You never get it.
I mean, so
You never get it.
you're really reaching for the
Because
clouds.
once the white man, see, because we don't understand what genocide means. Genocide.
Okay.
Right? The white man will use Barack Obama to get rid of every Negro in America. And what they're going to do with Barack Obama after they get rid of every Negro in America? They're going to get rid of him.
Right.
You see? Because genocide is not about certain black people we don't like. See, a lot of our people think, well, they don't like Dr. Umar. They're just going to get him and leave us alone. No. Genocide means we got to kill the gene. And why do they have to kill the gene? Because this is one thing African people got, nobody else on the planet got. Every black man in this room, every black woman in this room, we got what? 100% genetic reciprocity dominance. Any woman you lay with will make your child. I don't care if she white, Chinese, Arab, East Indian, Latino, even though you better not be laying with her because I'm going to call you a coon. No black man got no business to be with anything other than a black woman. But any woman you reproduce with produces a black child. Any man the black woman lays with produces a black child. We're the only people on the planet that has 100% reproductive dominance. They hate you for that.
Right.
They hate you for that. The white man doesn't have any reproductive dominance over any other group. The white man cannot reproduce himself in any other woman. He hates you. Let's go to the lynchings, right? They lynched Chinese, never castrated them. They lynched Italians, never castrated them. They lynched East Indians, never castrated them. They lynched Jews, never castrated them. But 99% of the time when a black man was lynched in America, he had his reproductive instrument removed. Why did they castrate you, but they didn't castrate the Jews or the Chinese? Because they hate the fact that that which is between your legs can exterminate them without a gun. That's why he made the gun, because the gun is his exactly. It is a replication of your reproductive phallus. If the white man want to get rid of you, he got to kill you. You want to get rid of him, you can reproduce him out of existence.
And it only goes to prove that we are the original people, because
We are the
only
original people, and we
have
are the chosen
ability
people.
to
We the
produce
chosen people.
everybody.
We're the chosen people. Blessed be the firstborn child, and that's what we are. Africans are the chosen people, and Africa is the holy land.
Y'all, we are listening to Dr. Umar Johnson. If you want to call in, please call in at 615-227-1470, or you can call in at 615-737-9865.
All right, so let's talk about the school to prison pipeline.
Let's talk about that.
Now, how did that idea even come up? I mean, because I know it's very true and very relevant, but where did that idea start from?
I'm not sure who invented the concept of the school to prison pipeline, but it grew out of the reality that the public school system in many cities is now the #1 referral source to the juvenile justice system for fresh bodies. A black boy is more likely to get arrested in school than on the street. And I was told that by a judge.
I was arrested.
I was told by a judge. She said, Umar, I get more kids from school than I could ever get from the street police.
Wow.
So I've termed it the psychoacademic holocaust. 6 steps. Step number 1, deliberate and intentional miseducation. They miseducate black boys on purpose. Why? Because the most revolutionary thing you could do in America is properly educate a black boy. And why is that? Because you make him a rival to the white boy for political economic control of resources and opportunities. Everything is about resources and opportunity. It ain't about votes and it ain't about prayers. It's about resources and opportunities. Black folks need to stop thinking about voting and praying and start dealing with some resources and opportunities. It's not because he poor. It ain't because his pants sagging. It ain't because his daddy in jail. It ain't because his mom on welfare. It's because white women deliberately miseducate black boys to make sure they can't compete with their own sons. Number 2, special ed. If they can't kill the black boy's spirit with miseducation, then they introduce these glow-in-the-dark, can't-be-proven, white man-invented disabilities. I know because I'm a certified school psychologist. It's what I do. Can you prove a learning disability? No. Can you prove mild mental retardation? No. Can you prove an emotional disturbance? No. Can you prove ADHD? No. Can you prove conduct disorder? I'm telling you, I evaluate. You can't prove them. They are ideas. Ideas. No proof. No blood test, no CAT scan, no x-ray, no urine sample. We simply give a whole bunch of tests, and then based off the scores, we make an inference. You see that? No proof. We infer that based on the scores, I think, I don't know, I think your son got a reading disability. He ain't got no reading disability. He never been taught how to read by your white teachers. So that's special ed. Then if they can't kill him in special ed, psychiatric meds. Now the ADHD, now we're going to send them to the doctor for some Ritalin, some Adderall, some Concerta. Can I ask you a question? Most black men in America are locked up for nonviolent drug-related offenses, correct? America claims to have a war on drugs, correct? So if America has a war against drugs, and drugs are bad, why is it okay to give them to our kids? His father's in jail for selling crack, but you're going to give him crack known as Adderall, Concerta, and Ritalin, so he can sit still long enough to learn about Christopher Columbus and Helen Keller and Anne Frank while he get miseducated by ugly white girls all day. Not acceptable. Then after that, juvenile incarceration. So if they didn't get you with miseducation, special education, psychiatric medication, now they're going to put you in juvenile incarceration, juvie hall, where you get mistreated. Prepped for mass incarceration, real jail. Then you come out of juvie hall, they got a law that says you can't go back to the regular school after you've been arrested. Whoa! Oh yeah, a lot of states got that now. You cannot go back to the regular school. They make it impossible for you to get a diploma. Yes! So then you got to go to these little twilight programs where the teachers don't even show up half the time. I know because I used to work with one, right? So now that takes us to stage 5. Psychological frustration and alienation and desperation. This is when you start sagging your pants. This is when you join the gangs. This is when you turn your hat back. This is when you start looking at people mean. This is when you want to beat people up. You want to gangbang, rob, steal, kill. It wasn't in you. It wasn't genetically predisposed. It was a result of how you were treated. Not nature, but nurture. And that takes us to stage 6. Premature extermination. 1 out of every 4 black males will be murdered at the hands of another black male, suffering those same debilitating 6 steps of the psychoacademic holocaust. Miseducation, special education, psychiatric medication, juvenile incarceration, psychological frustration, alienation, and then premature extermination. This is America's plan for every black male. And if we want to kill it, we got to build our own schools. And you know what? You know what's so interesting? We would rather fight white folks. We would rather fight white folks. Negro came up to me the other day and said, Doc, you need to help us fight to get black history in the public schools. I'm not helping you do that. Why not? Don't you think our kids need to know who they are? Yes. And white women can't teach them. Right. If we want black kids to know black history, much respect to Dr. Malefi Asante up in Philadelphia with me, but I disagree with him and the rest of them when they went to the school district of Philadelphia and begged the school district of Philadelphia to make white women teach black kids who they are. And why did I disagree with that? Do you see Jews asking Chinese to teach Jewish kids who they are? Do you see Arabs asking East Indians to teach Arabs who they are? So why the hell are we going to our former slave master saying teach our kids who they are? Those white women don't know who we are. But you got a church on every corner. The teachers go to the church. Why can't the church open up 1 night a week for free black history education? If we really care about teaching our kids who they are, you got churches on every corner. Why can't we teach our kids ourselves? You know why? Because we too damn lazy. We want to keep on asking white folks to do what we don't want to do.
And you know, it's funny because most of them will have an issue with that, because if you even think about the concept when you're dealing with the Jesus being white thing,
Yeah.
when the book tells you totally different.
Yeah.
Then when you show a black person, hey, even the book tells you that he couldn't have been white, they're going to say, well, he wasn't any race.
Yeah.
He wasn't any color.
Yeah. See that?
That's so self-hate.
Yes, that's self-hate.
I mean, you can't even see your own people as being something.
We don't
that
want to see
grand.
glory in ourselves. The white man has killed the black man's interest in seeing himself as glorious. That's why we so multicultural, because black people need to annihilate their existence amongst all the other groups. Nobody believes in integration or multiculturalism but us. The Chinese don't want to see nothing but other Chinese. You see that? European Jew don't want to see nothing else but a European Jew. But the black man want to see everything else but a black man. And we will move and relocate again and again till we're the only blacks on the block. That's how self-hating we are.
Wow.
And guess what? If it took 400 years to make that Negro, it might take another 400 to get rid of him.
Get us back where we supposed
And we
to
ain't
be.
even starting yet. We ain't even started yet. See, the black man and woman ain't fooling the white man. The white man knows that we are comfortable under the oppression he has given us.
Slaves.
He knows we comfortable. The white man knows we comfortable. If black folks was serious, do you think Trayvon be dead? Will Walter Scott be dead? Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Eric Garner? They wouldn't be dead if black folks was serious.
And your boy wouldn't be going around selling signature Skittle packs and his gun that he killed the boy
Exactly. Exactly.
That's like,
But we got gangsters in the hood. Everybody that killed a defensive unarmed black person still alive, but you so gangster. Your ass ain't gangster, you's a coon. We got coons all over the place.
well, we're going to take this time out to highlight our donators and our sponsors, because without them, the show would not be possible. So we're going to start out with G's Barbecue, located at 925 Gallatin Avenue, Suite 101,
Where that barbecue at?
where a pig ain't got a chance.
I don't want no pig. It got to be beef. I don't need no swine. They got
He
some
it
beef
all.
ribs.
He got it all.
I need
bro.
them beef ribs. Shout out to
G's Barbecue.
G's Barbecue,
Located at
925 Gallatin Avenue, Suite 101, where a pig ain't got a chance.
Yes, sir. And we also got Ronald Murphy Jr., which is a master barber at V's Barbershop, located at 104 Oak Valley Drive. For all designs, eyebrows, colors, eyelashes, or anything else you can come up with your hair needs, reach out to Ronald Murphy at 615-485-5627. Again, at V's Barbershop, located at 104 Oak Valley Drive. Claire Muhammad School, where a student cultivates strong self-concepts and good manners and strong morals. This school has been in existence for over 48 years. If you're interested in sending your child here, please reach out to Mahassan Abdullah at 615-485-3488.
Shout out to the Nation of
Claire
Islam.
Muhammad School. Smith Funeral Directors, located at 706 Monroe Street. You can reach Melvin J. Smith at 615-726-1476. Smith Funeral Directors are here for you in your time of loss. Pruitt's Discount Pharmacy is Nashville's oldest black-owned pharmacy, with 2 locations, one on Dickinson Road in East Nashville and the other in South Nashville in J.C. Napier Clinic. They accept all insurance, deliver free meds for free. They also have alkaline water, which helps with gout, arthritis, diabetes, and acid reflux. They carry the CBD, hemp oil, and creams for pain and anxiety. They also have free samples. And they have the blunts to smoke because it's been legal in Tennessee since 2017. Again, that's Pruitt's Discount Pharmacy. Kajiji's Groceries, located at 3620 Buena Vista Pike. Stop by Kajiji's for all of your grocery needs, for the freshest fruits and vegetables, natural lines of black soaps and hair care products. And if it's something on the shelf that you need that you don't see, speak with management and they'll make sure that they accommodate you. Again, that's Kajiji's Groceries, located at 3620 Buena Vista Pike. Now, the event of the month is the 4th annual Nashville Soul Day, which will be at East Park, 700 Woodland Street in Nashville, Tennessee. Tomorrow, September the 7th, 2019, it is going to be a great event from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. please come out because the admission is free. You're going to have featuring 615 exclusive and the brother here in the building tonight, Dr. Umar Johnson. You do not want to miss it.
I brought a couple books with me too, only a few.
And I've
come.
read that book. That book is very informative.
Thank you.
So yes, sir. So we're gonna want to make sure that whenever you support these black businesses, please let them know that the Black Family Talks sent you there.
You all tell family, tell friends. Tomorrow is going to be everything. Dr. Umar is going to be giving us a lot of jewels, and so please make sure you come out for this event. But I think we have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon, Dr. Well, good evening, Dr. Umar. And thank you so much for always sharing knowledge with us. I truly believe you were sent here by the ancestors, that you are the ancestors reborn. I'm calling because I have a unique perspective or insight into our financial situation. I've been in the financial industry for over 20 years. I also majored in education and psychology as well. And because I work for some of the largest financial institutions in the world, I know the disparities that we have financially. We think we have money. We don't have money. We think that we're sending our children to good schools. We are not. There are some schools that the Europeans send their children to that we have no idea. Like, their children are learning stuff that you learn at Harvard.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm telling you, you have no idea. There's one company that I work with, distribution company, an Asian company, okay? They provide all the food to all the Asian restaurants in the state. They only deal with other Asian restaurants. They provide all the meat, all the vegetables, and then they only put their money in the Asian bank. There's an Asian bank here in the South area, in the Georgia area, called East West Bank. They have a bank here in the West, and they also have a bank in the East, in China. They only deal with each other. We don't do that. We don't have that. We don't have a bank that, in Africa that we can partner with. We don't have a distribution center where we can get all of our food from, all of our supplies from, all of our resources. And one other thing about Asian companies is when they become a large business, like this company is like a $25, $30 million business, what they do is they have to also lend to other businesses that want to get started. So if other Asian restaurants want to start up, they have to lend the money to them. And then if they don't do well, either they advance and they get ready to purchase another business, they bring in another Asian family to take over the business. So the business never fails, and they keep regenerating the income within their community. Now, some of us have a little bit of money, but we have no money. We don't have the trust funds that they have. I have clients who are 21 years old who have trust funds, millions, $200, $300 million trust funds, but they just do nothing with. They absolutely do nothing. They make up games, and they create businesses from games that they play, because they have nothing to do with their money. So, I'm calling because I'm offering a solution. Because I have a unique insight, and I'm not trying to plug my company. I don't even want to say my company's name. I want you guys to get in touch with me.
Well, this is what you do. Take my number, Queen. You able to take my number?
But I don't know if there's another number I can call. But I am willing to, company that we just started on August 20th, 2019, for the very reason to honor our ancestors, but to also give back to our community. And we're willing to share our revenue with your company, with your institution, to help you with whatever we should do to reinvest back into the community.
Okay.
I was going to give you my number so you can send me a text message, and I'll definitely give you a call, see what we can do.
Okay.
It's 215.
Okay, give it to me again.
215 989
Okay.
9858. 215 989 9858. Dr. Umar.
All right. I've got it.
All right. Looking forward to the conversation. Now, we do have some African banks we can work with.
We're going to take our land back, and we're going to unite, one solution at a time. We're going to take care of ourselves.
Got you.
All right. Thank you for your call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I do want to let everybody know that the views and opinions is that of the Black Family Talk, not necessarily that of WVOL, but we do stand behind everything we say 100%.
100%.
Also, we are coming up on the end of our show, and we want to thank everybody. We want to thank Dr. Umar. We want to thank our brothers, Brother DeMario, and the brothers and sisters who are working very hard with Nashville Soul
Yes.
for bringing our brother into the city to be able to come and share with us and teach us some things. We also want to thank those people who called in tonight. We want to thank the people who are our sponsors and our donators. But before we leave out of here, because I think we have about 3 minutes left, but before we leave out of here, we would like to always ask our guests to give us the last thoughts.
Last thought. First of all, make sure y'all donate to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. You can send your check or money order payable to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware 19809. If you missed all that, you can just message me on my website, drumarjohnson.com, or you can send me a text message to 215-989-9858. I'll leave with a quote from my ancestor Frederick Douglass, my 4 times great-grand cousin and uncle. He said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want the rain, but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean, but they're scared of the awful roar of the waters. He said, people may not get all that they work for, but you will work for all that you get. And if we are ever to be freed as a people, then we ourselves must strike the first blow. A man who will not fight for himself is not worth being fought for by others. He said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom. But the good Lord gave Frederick no freedom till I got up off my knees and started praying with my feet. Power can seize nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will.
You all, thank you for tuning in tonight, and we're going to be back here Tuesday. If you missed the show live, you can go to the Black Family Talks on Facebook, and you'll be able to catch it on Facebook. We're doing a Facebook Live, so you can catch it on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on Tuesday. Peace. Good night, family.